the ground. If this is the first time joining us, it's a weekly live program. We get this going every Sunday, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's about 7 p.m. West African time and 7 p.m. GMT as well. It's 1 p.m. Central Time. What are we looking at today? But before we do that, I want us to kind of cast our minds back what we did last week, kind of get a bit of a direction for what happened last week. So last week we looked at common lies that we tell ourselves. If you're not here, you can catch a replay on our YouTube channel. I'll share that link later on. This week, I wanted us to this interestingly was some topic because some people came after that, and I remember someone saying, hey, listen, that's I would have loved to be a part of that because of this. Now, what are we looking at for this week? What are the lies that we tell ourselves? We kind of identified 9 of them. I'm going to put them up now for us to look at them. So I'll get to it eventually. And let me just kind of show you a bit of why this can be a bit toxic and why we call them lies. How many times have you told yourself that you will get to it and you never got to it? I have. I don't know about you, but I have. Number 2, I can't escape my past. Yes, I know that many of us have skeletons in our past. I mean, some things didn't go well as planned. Some of us have things that we don't even want to go back to. But the reality is that the past is the past. It's the bottom line. The past is the past. There's nothing you can do about it. You can just take it with a pinch of salt and move on. So yes, it's one lie we tell ourselves, let the past stay in the past. And then there's something wrong with me. And if you've ever felt like that, I know I used to feel like that some time ago, but truth is that there's nothing wrong with you. You need to make a few adjustments. You need to watch what you're deciding to do and not do. But there's nothing wrong with you. So the idea is not to throw away the baby on the dirty water. It's to understand that the dirty water goes and the baby still stays. So there's nothing wrong with you. The 4th thing we say is that you know exactly what you're doing. And I like to ask, do you? Because most times when we think we know exactly what we're doing, we really don't. I'm always prone to asking questions. I ask questions sometimes. Some folks are, some of my friends are sometimes are kind of, you ask too much questions because if you don't ask questions, you would assume. And someone told me a long time ago in Jamaica, he said that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. So I always want to be informed. So trust me, ask questions. And even when you think you know, still ask. The 5th thing is that I would be happy if I can fill in the gap. If I got that house, if I got that new car, if I got that new job, if I started that business, and whatever it is that you're looking at. But you see, if you're not happy where you are now, with who you are now, with what you have now, if happiness for you is in front, it's going to be a tall chase. You will always be chasing it for the rest of your life. You're going to be happy where you are. You got to come into terms with happiness now, and then begin to project the things you're hoping to get. No problem. So whether you get them or you don't get them, you're still going to be a happy person. I'd rather be a happy person with or without that thing, because that thing coming wouldn't make you happy. It's interesting. And then this other lie we tell ourselves, I'm too busy to start a new program. I'm too busy to raise a family. I'm too busy to write a program, to start a business, to whatever it is that you're too busy. Listen, everybody has 24 hours. What you do with your own 24 hours makes all the difference in the world. You won't have more time. It's nothing like that. You won't have more time. You need to go through the things that you do on a daily basis. What I did to kind of get me away from this lie was I just took a note, and for the next 1 week, I would write what I did from the time I woke up to when I went to bed. And I began to ask myself, is this one putting money in my pocket or taking money out of my pocket? Is this one benefiting me or is making me feel sad or putting me down? And then I began to remove some of those things. And just by doing that, I found that in that same day, I didn't have time. I had more time to do other things that were important. And the 7th one is I can change him or her. This is a very big lie. And I'm sure that you must be nodding your head now in agreement. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I could change him. I thought I could change her. You can't. If you have toxic people around you, get rid of them. You can't change them. It's not in us to change anybody. People want to change when they want to change. You can't change anybody. You can't. It's not in you. So if you go on that crusade, well, I wish you all the best. The eighth is that I'm too old to. Someone said age is a number. It doesn't. It makes no difference. You see, 10 years from today will still be 10 years. Whether you start what you're going to start now or you leave it till 10 years. The truth is that if you start it now, in 10 years, that thing will be 10 years old. So you're never too old. They said you have 10 more years to live it well. You have 20 more years to live it well. You have 100 more years to live it well. But one thing that I found out that helps me live life according to my terms is that I have 3-year plan, I have 4-year plan, I have 5-year plan, but I live each day as though it's my last day. So I do what I can do within that day so that I can get the best of that day. Make sense? And then the ninth thing we tell ourselves is that I'm a failure. Listen, everybody has failed one time or the other. I failed. I remember when I first moved to Canada, I went to get my driver's license. So there are 3 stages of licenses. There's the grade, there's the first stage, there's the second stage, there's the third stage. Now, to get the G1, all you need to do is to do a test. So just study and then you do the test. Now, when I learned driving, I didn't learn driving going to a driving school. You know, that kind of thing. I grew up with, this is the car, drive, and I drove. And I realized that to drive and to be a driver are 2 different things. But that's another day story. So I got the first one. The second one was to drive the car, but you'll drive it within streets and all that. So I knew all that one. Then the third stage, which is your G license itself, was the one that you will take the car on the highway. And I failed woefully because there was this confidence that I know how to drive. But you see, to know how to drive and to understand being a driver are 2 different things. Because I could train a monkey very well, the monkey will drive. To drive means to move a car from point A to point B. But to understand the signs of the road, to understand other road users and to use the road wisely is a different kettle of fish. I had to go relearn that. So yes, we fail. But you can't let failure define you because failure is an event. So pick yourself up, dust yourself, and keep moving. Make sense? Today, I wanted us to look at how to live your life more strategically. Many times, many of us are not strategic in the way we live. Now, you can define strategy in any form. You know, when you hear about strategy, for instance, you're thinking of, you know, those strategic meetings that maybe your president is having with his cabinet and the CEOs are having with. Listen, don't take it like that. Don't look at it like that. Why? Because to be strategic simply means to be thoughtful in your plan. That's it, simple. To be thoughtful in your plan, to consider different options, different approach to the plan that you have. That's what it means to be strategic. So in today's lesson, what I want to do is I want to show you 9 wisdom nuggets, and I'm going to show you 3 different action steps that you can start taking immediately to start getting results immediately. And I also include a few things, I call them things suggested reading. They're books that you can go pick up and read on the subject. So you can be versed in this subject because trust me, if you're strategic, it's a winner for you. So let's take a look at the 9, I call them powerful wisdom nuggets. Make sense? So you have a sheet of paper. If you want to take a screenshot of the screen, please do that. Let's go. Number 1, do you have a plan? It amazes me when I talk with people who say they're tired of life, they're tired of what's happening around them, and I ask them, do you have a plan? And they don't have a plan. You need to start asking yourself, what do you want out of life? Do you have a life plan? If you don't have a plan or a mission in life, it's going to be very challenging to live strategically. You've got to have a plan. And I'm going to try and break that. I know some of you will have questions. Now, it might not feel spontaneous to plan out your entire life. I mean, someone said to me, how do I know what will happen in 10 years? I can show you how I do that. It's not as complicated as you think. Listen, a plan is simply put as steps that you want to take, that you hope to take, that you're projecting to take in the direction of a goal. I was talking to my friend yesterday and I said, we're writing a program for children together. And I said to her, I said, listen, what's the outcome that we want these children to have? That's where you start from. So you start from the end result. What's my life? What will be ideal for me? And you want to start asking yourself those kind of questions. You look at your life and you're saying, what would make life meaningful for me? If I was to design my life myself, what would make it meaningful? That's what you're looking at. You're looking at, what's my life? What's it like? I mean, I know sometimes that the odds are stacked against you. That's all good. Everybody is. Nobody, I don't know who was, when they gave birth to you, came out with clothes and shoes and stick and a pair of sunglasses. No, everybody came naked. So we're all not dealt the same hand, but you need to understand that you need to have a plan. You must have a plan. You have to have a plan. And if you understand this, it will put a bit of zest and meaning to your life. What's your life about? Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, someone rightly said. So what's your life's plan? What's your overall plan? What will be happening to you 1 year from now, 2 years from now? You need to look at that. And the second one is as weighty as that. Do you have specific goals? Do you? Having an overall life plan and mission is a great place to start, but you must also set specific goals. You see, some specific goals that you want to achieve has to be, and listen, goals are not what you're thinking. I see people, I'm thinking of a better life. I said, no, did you write it down? They said, no, it's just in my mind. I said, that's wishful thinking. You've got to write it down. You've got to focus your goals on both the long term and the short term. And then I like the way I explained this some time ago when I talked about you want to travel. I wanted to go from Toronto to Moncton, and I determined what the distance was. I determined what I wanted, how I wanted to go. Did I want to fly? Did I want to drive? And then I determined how much distance I should cover every month, how much distance I should cover every week, how much distance I should cover every day. And if I kept on doing that step one after the other, I would eventually get to my destination. So that's my long-term plan. And it's going to take me 10 months to get there. A lot of people go into setting short-term plans where they don't have a long-term plan. You see, your short-term plans have to add up to your long-term plan. It's critical. Your short-term plans add up to your long-term plans. Let me give you, I hear people say this a lot. I want to retire early. That's not specific. In fact, that's not a goal. I want to retire early is not a goal. I want to buy a new car is not a goal. I want to get a promotion is not a goal. Your goal must be, now I know all the acronyms, the specific, the measurable and all that, but sometimes if you look at what you have, so let me tell you the way the human mind works. The human mind wants to always escape. It likes comfort. So to get yourself to sit down and to plan your life, the mind will say, let's leave that, don't worry. And then if you're a Christian, you say, God knows, God is going to fix it. He's not giving you all that you need to fix it with. If you say that you're going to retire, when? If I said to you, I'm going to retire at the age of 60, with $10 million saved up. That's a specific goal. I want to get a 3-bedroom house. I want it to be self-detached in a good area, in a good environment where it's safe in an enclosed environment. That's a specific goal. I want to get a Mercedes-Benz, whatever model it is, a 2011 Mercedes-Benz, a 2020 Mercedes, whatever it is. But the more you're specific, listen, the more you're specific, what happens when you're specific is that you force your mind to think in a way that would attract the people and the things you need to accomplish it. But when you're general, the mind doesn't know what it is that you want. Do you really want it? I'm not really sure. That's what happens. So if you don't focus on zeroing on it, you're going to end up not doing it. Number 3, it's time you ask yourself tough questions. Now, this is the last month of the first half of this year. I don't know if you have goals set up for yourself already. Did you set up goals? You have goals that you have set up. How are those goals looking? But sometimes we don't ask ourselves, I call it hard questions. We ask ourselves easy questions, or we don't like to ask ourselves questions. I once said one time, we don't like to ask questions because it makes us look as if we don't know. I don't know. There's so many things I don't know, so I ask. But sometimes the question I ask myself, I ask myself some very, when I say hard questions, you see, strategic living means that you get to ask yourself real, honest questions. You need to ask yourself, sometimes they are tough questions. Do you have the skill to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself? Do you have the skill? Do you have the support? Are you just wasting your time? Are you on the right track? Are you in the right community? Do you have the right people around you that will help you get this done? You need to ask yourself that. This thing I want to do, how am I going to fare with it? Listen, the more you ask, the more you search. Now, don't go into this planning paralysis where we just keep planning for the next 10 years. What is it I'm planning? No. Get as much information as you can. And then go ahead and put some things put them into use, put them into action, because you have to understand that being honest with yourself is what would allow you to figure out strategic ways to address whether it is your weakness or your feelings. Something that you don't, maybe, okay, I don't know how to cook very well, but I want to open a restaurant. Maybe I should partner with someone who cooks very well, but I know how to talk about food. I know how to talk about, I can talk about food that you will salivate, but I don't know how to cook very well. So I can get someone who can cook. I can partner with the person. But because you're asking yourself those tough questions, those honest, I call them under the God questions, it will allow you to come up with ways to go around them so that you can still get the best of it at the end of the day. And then maybe you need to observe the trend. I know that trendy is often used as a bad word, but why really? Because observing trends, both your own and the world around you, is a powerful tool for those who want to live more strategically. What's changing? And someone said one time, if you know this, we should know. You should know this. There was this time that there was Kodak, instant picture. You snap it, it comes out, you shake it, take it out, shake it, and no time the picture shows. And then we also had where you would put a negative in there. Remember those negatives? I even had some kept away from me. And then you would run the negative, and then and then you would they're gonna develop them, and then it takes you a while. And then after a while, there was a digital camera started to come out in the phone. But those folks never understood what trend was going. They never understood that trends, there was a new way of doing what they were doing. They just stayed and they felt they have always been, would always do it like this. This was how my parents taught me. That's how you will do it. No, times have changed. So you need to look around and say, what am I doing? How can I adjust what I'm doing so that it can still be beneficial to me? Now, trend doesn't mean following. I've always said that fashion is when something that looks good on you and makes you feel sharp, makes you feel good about yourself. That's what fashion is to me. Fashion is not wearing the latest clothes or some designer. It's dressing in a way that I can walk up to a prime minister or a president. I don't have to adjust myself. I can walk up to a 10-year-old and we'll have a good conversation. That's the idea. So observe the trends. What's the trend in your industry? What's the trend in the things that you want to do, in the path that you have carved for yourself? What's trendy around it? Don't throw that out and say it's a bad word. Look at that so that you can stay relevant. That's the key word, to stay relevant in the industry that you have chosen. And then I'm going to give you some quick examples. For instance, many of you had said, maybe once thought you wanted to start an online business. And I'm sure when you notice what happened there, because I realized that what COVID did, what that pandemic did was that with that fact, the fact that people were not going around and they still needed to learn, they still needed to, a lot of people came up, a lot of courses came up, a lot of programs came up, people were now tuned to their devices. So for those who were able to cash in and start to do something online, who moved from the brick and mortar to online, kind of stayed ahead of the curve. How much would you have been if you had cashed in during that pandemic? Imagine, you got some things going. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but at least it will put you ahead. There will be, maybe you have courses now where people are buying for, I don't know, $200, $250, and because it's helping people. Because one thing I found out is when you put something out, it's usually not the best that you have, but at that time is your best anyway. And then as people begin to interact with it, people begin to use it, they begin to give you feedback. They're giving you, you know what, this would have been nice if it was green and whatever. And then as they do that, you keep adjusting. It's critical. You keep doing that adjustments, moving those things in a way that would help it position in a place or in a way that would serve people better. So imagine if you had cashed in at that time and started some online business, some digital business, you would have been ahead. It would have been an extra income or revenue for you by now. Now, what about if you had cashed in when cryptocurrency started? Now, don't quote me. Don't tell me tomorrow. Coach Aniekan said, crypto is it. No, I'm not. If you want to invest in anything, make sure that you have sound advice. Don't just jump up and say, this is the latest, this is the newest, so you jump into it. Make sure you find out. Do your research, check. But imagine if you had come out, if you had bought into when crypto first came out. I'm sure you have heard the crazy money that it's become now. Same thing. So you can look at anything. You can look at any particular industry, anything that has blossomed. You would ask yourself, what about if I was in that thing when it first started? I remember there was this guy back then in Nigeria. I think it was in Lagos. I don't know where they got I think maybe they got it from India. We got the idea of this motorbike. They call it Okada. So people began to kind of open up to it. Initially they had big bikes, they had but they were looking at bikes, motorbikes for transportation. I remember this guy, because I was then doing business with someone who was he went and he shipped in 2 containers. Just 2 containers of those bikes. He brought them in, sold them at good rates, made good money, and he never did it again. Later when they asked him, he just said, as soon as he hits the market, everybody will start importing it. And that's what happened. So what he was able to sell for good money back then, when it now became everywhere you turned, guess what happened? Even though they still brought it in at about the same amount that he brought it at, they couldn't sell it at that same amount. So the profit began to dwindle, because when there are too many people in something, usually it affects the price of those things. So if that guy was like what you call a maverick, he came in, did it, and left. Imagine if there are things that you can do like that. So you need to observe trends. You need to keep your eyes glued on what's in my industry, what's trending in my industry, what's changing in my industry, how are people doing the same thing that we're doing, so that you can. I remember again a friend who said that, I can't remember what he said he was doing. I said, I've never thought about making it virtual. But the truth is that you have to look at what's trending. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to go online and cover the camera. No, I had content, and I was like, if you want to access what I do, then read my content. I have good content. But I realized that after a while, I started doing that pandemic. That's when this program actually started. I said, no, if I don't move with this trend, I'm going to be left behind. So what are the trends that you're noticing in your industry? Who are you parling with in your industry? Don't fly solo. Who are you parling with? What are they doing? How are they doing it now? So that you can get the best, I call it the best of both worlds. Now, strategic people, they track as much information as they can. Someone rightly said, whatever is not measured cannot be improved. If you can't measure something, you can't improve it. So one of the rules of improvement is we must measure it. Somebody says to me, I want to lose weight. That's a good goal. At least it sounds like one. I want to lose 30 pounds. All right, I hear you. The first place that you want to start is to ask yourself, how much do I weigh now? Listen, if you don't come to terms with how much you weigh now, forget what your goal is. Because see, a goal is simply, I'm here and I want to go there. So I'm determining the steps that I would take to get from here to there. But I must be cognizant of where, I must take an evaluation of where I am, what I have, what I can do, to determine what will be my best route to that destination, which is my goal. So it starts from how much you weigh now. That's where it starts from. So you get how much you weigh. Simple, get the scale, climb the scale, check it. You weigh 200 pounds. Okay. That means that you're looking to be 170 pounds at the end of this day. Okay. How long do you want to do this for? How long? What's your time frame for this? I want to lose 30 pounds in 90 days. That's 3 months, which means I lose 10 pounds every month. Further break that into weeks, into days. You can just take the pound you want to and divide it by the amount of time that you're looking at. And you are getting into the nitty-gritty, because you have to track. This is critical. You have to track everything. How much you're spending, what you're spending it on. Remember, I told you when we started that if you want to see what goes into your day, track it. Strategic people, they track everything. What they spend their time on, how long they spend on social media, how much they spend walking, how much they spend eating, as well as they spend talking. Everything they're doing, you're tracking it. And it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. Initially, when you track it, it's going to look boring. But after a while, you will get the gist of, because once you know what the numbers are, it is easy to get it done. The more data and information that you have, the more informed you are, the more your decisions will be more precise, because you're not making what is referred to, what I like to call informed decisions. Now, a quick way that I would suggest you get started, so you can start winning, you can start losing, is to get a sheet, it could be your device, it could be your phone. And just, if you're in business, few things you should track: your marketing, your sales, your expenditure. Simple. How much am I spending every month? How much is coming in every month? How much is going out? You have to track. If you don't have a business, maybe you're a 9 to 5, you still have to do your track. How much do I earn every month? How much goes into transportation every month? How much goes into feeding every month? How much goes into the things I indulge myself in every month? You have to know, because if you know those numbers, guess what happens? You know if you're overspending. You know what to cut off. You know what to add on. Because if you don't do that, you might think that your money is just going down the drain. Meanwhile, it's not. You're not just using it wisely. You would then spot a pattern. You will spot something that you're doing that it's good, that you can keep doing. After a while, it becomes effortless. Other things that you track, that I like to also track, I'd say you should also include, is your time. Track your emotions. Track the time that you are upset or you go off the lead. What happened? Was something said? Was something done? Track every and anything. You need to do that. Number 6, if you track very well, it allows you to reflect and adjust. Now, while there's something amiable, something nice about you putting out blinders, you checking in, you just, your plans are working well, you're working towards your goal, things are in as you thought they were. It's a choice for you to reflect. What are you doing? I do this in most of my evenings. I sometimes I kind of get tired and I sleep. I don't do this, but I reflect. I reflect on what my day has been like, because we would teach you to plan your tomorrow today. Plan your tomorrow today. Fix your roof before rain falls. It wasn't raining, someone said, when Noah built the ark. So you need to reflect. You need to look at what's my day been like? What could I have done differently? What did I do that I should do more of? What did I not do? What did I do that I should do less of? How can I do this thing in a better way? As you reflect on your day, just before you go to bed, you would be able to have an idea of what your day was like, and then you will see what kind of adjustments you need to make. It's best if you schedule a time to do this. So don't just do this when some people say, when I have time, or I will do it in the evening. No, schedule a time. Take your phone. Something that I do, if you've been with me for a bit, you'll realize something, you'll hear my phone ring. Take your phone, and thank God for the devices that we now have. Take your device and say, okay, every 6, if you are home at 6, or maybe you want to do it even before you leave the office, if you're doing 9 to 5, you can say, okay, at every 5 p.m., I'm already done for work. I'm going to put everything down and just sit down and reflect and adjust. So look at my day. What's my day been like? You can even do it at work. And what's my work day been like? Did I accomplish things I wanted to accomplish? And then what do I adjust? Get that, finish your day, and then by the time you're driving home or you're taking transport home, you just relax and you're just reflecting on what tomorrow would look like. So that's what you want to do. You want to schedule a set time to do this. What's working? What isn't working? What goals do I need to adjust? What goals are too much, are too little? What do I need to reflect on? What information do I need? When do I need to get this done? As you're doing that, you are adjusting. I thought I was going to do this in 2 days. Apparently, there was more to it than meets the eye. I can't finish this in 2 days. I have to extend that to 4 days. So instead of finishing this on Tuesday, for instance, this will have to go till Thursday. But you are making those adjustments so that you can still be in the path of your goal without overwhelming yourself. When you don't reflect and adjust, most times things just jump at you. And you ask, when did this happen? It started happening 2 weeks ago. You just were not reflecting and adjusting. So take time out to evaluate. You want to go into the person who wants to 200 pounds, wants to lose 30 pounds. It's been a week. If we look at 10 pounds in a month, if there are 4 weeks in a month, it means you have to lose about 2.5 pounds every week. If you do that every week, in 4 weeks, you would have lost 10 pounds, which is a month. So at the end of the week, you need to look at yourself. You need to go on your scale and say, have we lost 2.5 pounds? If you go on your scale, you're still weighing 200 pounds, then something is amiss. That means I have 3 more weeks to get 10 pounds off. So you need to reflect and say, what was I? Oh, okay, I kept some mouth-watering stuff that are not too healthy. I kept them on the shelf. I need to get rid of all those stuff in the shelf so that I eat out a lot. I need to cook at home so that I can regulate what I eat, and maybe I need to reduce whatever it is that you need to do. That's where you have to reflect and adjust before the next week starts so that it keeps you ahead. You are good and ready to run when the next week comes. And it doesn't matter. You could have, maybe you fail that week, but the other 3 weeks gives you opportunity to catch up. Or maybe you fail that month. You have 2 more months to catch up. Maybe you failed the 2 months. Well, you have 1 month. You always have time to catch up if you're reflecting and adjusting regularly. The 7th nugget I want to look at is, how are you taking care of yourself? This is I call this our go-to area. We dedicate a whole month to self-care, because if you're not taking care of yourself, that's where it starts. When you hear the word charity begins at home, this is where it starts for you. Strategic living isn't just about your career or your finances. You want to make intelligent decisions when it comes to your life itself. Because you see, I tell people you only have one life. Only one. You've got to live it well. There's no repeat to life. So once this life is done for you, that's it. There's no repeat. You think there's repeat? Okay. There's no repeat. So you have to be strategic with the way you live your life. This body, we say it's your greatest wealth. How are you taking care of your body? What are you allowing into your body? What are you exposing your body to? We talked about emotion earlier. Sometimes I think we just take on certain emotions that we know would rip us apart. You don't want to do that. Because a big part to strategic living is making sure that you take care of your own needs. How can you reach your life's goal if you are not healthy or managing stress properly? And we know everything in life is stressful, from the traffic to the weather, to your children, to even your spouse, to your friends, to the government, to the birds, to the dogs. Everything comes with a stress package. So if you don't manage this properly and take care of yourself, some of you need to rest when you need to rest. Some of you need to have good sleep. Get good sleep. But you have to consider this thing, because if you don't, forget strategic planning. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I wish it did, but it doesn't. Because you can have the best car, you can live in the finest house, you can have most amazing children. We found out that if you are not healthy, after a while, you not being healthy would start to rob the people around you of their own joy as well. We can have a party with you sick, because you look at that and wonder, you guys are even considerate. I'm sick, you guys are having party. So guess what? You want us to come and pity party with you as well. So we're going to have to come and sit down with you, and so we can't even laugh. we have to watch the way we walk around you. because you are not well. Sometimes there's some illness, you have to shut all the blinds and the place has to be dark, no light. But taking care of yourself can never be overemphasized. We're gonna talk about it too much. You must, not you have to, you must take care of your greatest asset. If you are healthy, everything else is second place. If you're not healthy, doesn't matter how much you have or don't have, doesn't matter what you have or don't have, it doesn't matter what you know or you don't know. If you're not healthy, you can execute. So your health is what enables you execute your goals, reach your height, do whatever you want to do because you have health on your side. Make sense? The 8th is communicate your life plans with your loved ones. Now, this can be tricky because I know that some of you will quote me and said, but Coach, one time I think you said we should go and communicate plans on social media, for instance, so that it can put us on the spot. Now, that has an advantage. It also has this disadvantage. I've seen people, tell others their goal and they couldn't accomplish the goal. I was listening to a lady talk about and said, one of the things that happens that psychologically, when you tell other people your goal, you think that you are living the goal. So the tendency to drop the goal is higher. But I don't know. I'm going to test that out. But communicate your goals to your loved ones. Now, you don't have to go around shouting your life's plan to everyone. But it is helpful to let the people that are closest to you know. So I remember one time we came into the year and I asked my team, I said, it was last year, it was 2022. And I said to my team, I said, your goals for the previous year, did anybody ask you, hey, listen, Jenkins, did you accomplish your goals last year? And all of them said no. And I asked them, I said, you know why? Because nobody. So you have your goals, you kept them to yourself. Guess what? So if you don't accomplish them, nobody will ask you, nobody will do. If you accomplish them, then you don't tell people, that was one of my goals, I wanted to do it. But you hiding it. So there should be someone that you're talking with who has an idea. Because I also found out that there's strength if you have the right people knowing about your goal, because they can pray for you. They can hold you up. And even sometimes when you begin to falter and to say, you know what, I think this is not worth it, and you begin to kind of kick yourself, they can come along and encourage you. I've seen that work in my life. So someone always knows what I'm about to do. Maybe not all the detail, but someone is always in the loop. This way, people will understand what it is that I'm working towards, and they can make sure that they're not working against me. I mean, say your spouse knows that you want to lose weight, he or she knows that, okay, in order to help you, I might need to reduce your quantity. But they say loading your plates because they don't know. It also builds accountability. This is where I'm going to. It builds accountability and it creates a support system that you can lean on whenever you need it. If people don't know where you're going, they could be working against you unknowingly. I know you will say, this person is just being mean. No, they just don't know. You call them, you tell them, I'm about to go out and it's raining cat and dog. They're like, what do you want to go do out? Sit at home. Grab something, watch Netflix. They're encouraging you to do that. And you will, okay, I think I should. But if they knew that you needed to lose 30 pounds and you are 1 week behind and you are not sugar, they will encourage you differently. So you need to make sure that people that are close, loved ones that are close, are aware of what you're doing. This is the last one, and I'm going to pig it down here. Never stop learning. A big part of being strategic is recognizing your weaknesses or lack of knowledge and addressing them. I told you earlier on, I don't know everything, so I'm always asking questions. A fantastic way to do this is to commit to lifelong learning. If I'm not writing or doing something, I'm learning. Over the weekend, I was in one program, I was in one training, one after the other. Always learn. Always learn. It's good you have gotten your formal education, but that won't get you anywhere. You've got to learn. I talked about the trend, understanding the trend in your industry, whatever it is that you have chosen. Always learn. You see, lifelong learning is not only for people who are doing well. It's for everyone. It keeps you sharp. It also keeps your skills and knowledge up to date. So you're always relevant. And you'll find that reaching your goals become more attainable when you never stop learning. So don't stop learning. It's critical that you don't want to stop learning. Now, I wanted to catch this. I said I was going to give you 3 action steps. Number 1 is to reflect on what you want out of life and think about what your ideal life would look like and feel like. So this is where you kind of dream a bit. I mean, if you had the opportunity to redesign your life, what would it look like? What will it feel like? And when would you want to wake up? What kind of people do you want to work with? What kind of job or work do you want to do? Do you want to, like I remember one time, someone said he just wants to come out and in his backyard, he has different animals running around. Whatever it is, it's your life. So what is your ideal life? Think about it, reflect and write it. Describe it as much as you can. The more detail you put to it, the better. That's the first thing I want you to do. So this is your week assignment. Number 2 is create a life mission statement. Now, while this might be hard to encapsulate what you want out of life or put that into a single paragraph, it's a very powerful exercise. You can always go online, Google is your friend, and say, listen, how do I write a life statement? How do I write a mission statement? How do I get that to play? And then once you begin to do that, you can find out what makes you you, so that you can be more relevant, not just to your family, but not just your friends, but also the society around you or the community around you at the end of the day. And then the third thing is that, what's your first step? People learn all of this and they don't determine what their first step is. What's your first step? What's the first step that you can take towards this new life now? Maybe I can go and pull up a notebook that I've used for something else, and I can start to write. I can start to look at what's the first thing that you will do. Focus on something simple. Don't say you want to lose weight. Tomorrow I'm going to run marathon. What is it that you can do now? It could just be to take off a sheet of paper and plan. It could just be to start to think, I've always wanted my life to be like this, to write that down. That could be the first step. And as easy as that is, that could be what you need to look at doing. So I would love us to talk. I've not seen any questions, so I'm going to take in that questions would come later. But let me come up from the screen. I'm likely going to go back to the screen again, but let me just come up on the screen and say, listen, it's simple. Someone said to me some time ago, he said, well, something that is simple to do is also simple not to do. That's why the key thing is to get this started as quick as you can and then keep it simple. Don't try. I know we shared 9 things, but don't try to do the whole 9 thing. No, just do what is simple. Make it simple. What's the next step you can take? And if you don't have a next step, then maybe, hey, listen, okay, I don't have a next step, but there's always a next step. Next step might just be, okay, I need to study about this. I need to research about this. But please, you have a whole week to do this. So you have between now, Sunday, until Saturday to do this. So that by Saturday evening, you already gotten this in your belt and you're doing something about this. And it is critical that you do that and do that effectively. I'm just going to let me just go over the points again. Is that okay with you? Let me go over the points. Bear with me. I'm going to flick. Let me just flick. So number 1 is, do you have a plan? Set specific goals. 3, ask yourself tough questions. Number 4, observe trend in your industry, trend in where you want to go, trend in what you want to go into, and then track any and everything. Don't leave nothing on the table. Number 6 is to reflect and adjust. You have to keep adjusting. Keep adjusting. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. So keep adjusting, and then take care of yourself. And then let people that are around you, who are close to you, let them have an idea of where you're going, so that they can be more supportive than working against you. And then never stop learning. Make sense? Now, if you have any question, I'll